Hi, my name is Razink, and today we're going to show you how to build a no-code Web3 app with Bubble and DropChain. This time, we're going to show you how to freeze and unfreeze assets. So from our previous sections, we made the mint flow, and then we made the opt-in and send flows. We're going to duplicate this page again, and we're going to call it freeze. Let's do freeze, unfreeze. Duplicate the opt-in and send. Cool. So we're gonna have actually 3 buttons this time. We're gonna have the we're gonna change this one. We're gonna say that this is freeze asset. And what does freeze asset do? It's pretty intuitive. It freezes an asset, right? It doesn't allow it to be moved anymore. We're gonna have unfreeze asset. This one's a lot larger, so we're gonna make it a little smaller. And then we're gonna also copy this, and then we're gonna have send asset. And so this is basically gonna be the exact same thing as what it was before, except what we're gonna do is we're gonna use the send asset to test if something is frozen or not. And what we'll do is we'll freeze the asset that we just minted. We will try to send it from test user 2, who has their assets frozen, back to test user 1, but it won't work. We'll unfreeze the asset and then we'll try it again and it should work. So basically we're kind of showing how to integrate the freeze asset flow. Normally, maybe you want to do this if maybe you purchased an NFT ticket on the platform and you don't want someone to buy it, try to be able to resell it. Really you have full control over how you implement this. But this is a good example of how to implement it within a no-code app. Okay, and so we have a couple workflows we want to implement. When the freeze asset is clicked, or instead of opting in to an asset, we're going to freeze asset. We're going to find this on the testnet here. I'm going to go to our DropChain console. Log in. And if you haven't already, make a free account on console.dropchain.network. And this allows you to access all of the tools that we allow you to build free Web3 app for free. You really only have to worry about paying once you scale and launch your app for public access. And DropChain console.dropchain.network has everything that you need to get started. All the API tooling, all the pre-made smart contracts, all that fun stuff. Go to our API dashboard. And if you haven't yet, go to the setup video that shows you how to set up your Bubble app. This generates an API key. This plugs it into the Bubble plugin, the DropChain Bubble plugin. For now, we're gonna go here and we're gonna grab the app ID. We're gonna grab the asset ID, which is our Bubble Mint NFT test. Our Bubble NFT mint test. We're gonna copy this asset ID from the asset we minted at the beginning. The receiver user ID is the account that's getting the asset frozen. So in this case, we're gonna do test user 2. And then the user 1 user ID is test user 1, who's the minter, the owner of the asset, the person who made the NFT in the first place. And this is exactly how we minted our first asset. So this is great. And we're gonna keep everything the same. We just gotta check when we made a DropChain transaction type, we have a transaction ID result from step 1. We're gonna also make sure that this result of step 1 transaction ID is not empty. Result of step 1 transaction ID is empty for no. And then we're gonna make sure that this button freeze is correct. Yep, that's looking at the right thing. We're also gonna do the unfreeze transaction here. So what happens when someone clicks the unfreeze button? Unfreeze asset testnet. And it's gonna be the exact same configuration as the freeze version. So basically, we're gonna have the same user ID, the same app ID, the same asset ID, same all of that. The reason why is because it's basically just two different functions, but they're the same approach. So if we have user one, it has to be the creator of the asset, because they're the only people that have the authority to freeze or unfreeze the owners of the token. And so the user one user ID is going to be the person who created it, which in our version is test user one. And test user two is the end user. So they're going to be the receiver. And then app ID, copy that. And that should be good. Now the last thing we need to do is we're going to copy this, we're going to paste it, and we're going to go and we're going to do the send asset. We're going to change one of the things we just copied to have a different flow. We're going to do send asset. And so this is basically just going to be the exact same thing as we did before, actually. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to copy this workflow. I'm going to go back to freeze and unfreeze. And I'm going to paste it. I'm actually going to delete this send asset thing we just made. And I'm just going to attach it to send asset. And really, this is just using the stuff we already made in the previous section to implement the process of sending an asset from, in our case, we're going to actually switch user one and receiver one. And the reason why is because user one is test user two. That's who we sent. I think we have 3 NFTs right now sitting in test user one or test user two. This is the ACL account. So we go back here, ACL, receivers GAA right here. And what we're doing here is we're saying, okay, here's this NFT we've sent it to M4BD, which is the account address for test user two. So test user two owns a couple of them. We're going to use that same flow of sending a transaction to send asset from test user two to test user one. And we're going to do it the first time. It'll work great. We'll freeze. We'll try to do it again and it won't work. We'll unfreeze and we'll try it again and it will work. So we'll just show you exactly how it works from that perspective. The button unfreeze, just want to check these pieces, and okay, we're good. So let's preview. Perfect. And so now we have 3 NFTs currently within test user 2. We're gonna send the asset. Cool. Transaction ID. This will be sending it from M4BD to BT37, which is from test user 2 to test user 1. As you can see here. M4BD from, and then 2. We had 3 and 7, now we have 2 and 8. Now we're going to freeze the asset, which we'll show you after this. Basically just says, hey, we're going to make sure that the freeze state on this account, which is test user 2's wallet, is true. It is flipped on, and it said, okay, now it's locked and it's frozen. Let's see if this actually appears. I don't know if it'll appear here. Oh, it does. Cool. So this transaction, WY5S, and this appears because we're looking at the asset, the asset overview for this specific asset. So any transactions involving the asset will appear here. 32 seconds ago, we have freezed the account MB4D, which if you remember is test user 2. So let's try to send this asset one more time. It'll say no transaction ID and success is no because it doesn't work. It's frozen. Exactly. And so this isn't rendered here, but if you were able to look at this, maybe you're building a code app or you want to look at the full error of the response, it'll say something like a bunch of information about like the current chain state and stuff, but then it'll say unable to move the asset is currently frozen to account. Not to worry. Let's do unfreeze. And we can see there is no transaction here because it didn't go through. We go back here. Transaction ID, I'll say something, and I'll say, I don't think we remembered to save that to the correct one. but you can tell it went through because 15 seconds ago. Let's go and unfreeze. Oh, see, we forgot to fix this. Huh. So remember, when you're changing these workflows, to make sure you're pointing into the right section. But so we're actually gonna, let's just redo it. It's no harm, no foul. It already went through. So we'll hit unfreeze asset again. It already did go through. So technically, freeze is a freeze transaction. Freeze status is false. So technically it's already unfrozen, but we're gonna do it again just to make sure that this is visible on the front end. Here's the transaction ID, 3K7S. 3K7S just went through 12 seconds ago. And just like that, you have unfrozen your asset. So now, previously, when we send the transaction, it didn't work. Let's try to send the asset again, and it should be unfrozen, and it should allow us to send it, no problem. And the transaction is successful. Here's a transaction ID, 3N30. 3N30, 13 seconds ago, sent it. Now the sender has 1, the receiver has 9. And so just like that, you have implemented the process of freezing and unfreezing NFTs. You have full control over how you want to implement this in your Web3 app, but you don't even know how to implement smart contracts, build smart contracts, or really code. Now you have full access to this tooling through bubble.io and the DropChain plugin. If you have any questions, join the Discord link below. Ask us. There's a group of builders always active in there. Myself active building in apps and helping other people build apps. And we're excited to help you build your first Web3 app.